When you do make a mistake as a coaching manager, what's the best way to go about setting things right with your employees? I got this question during a webinar a while back, and I wasn't able to respond during that webinar. So I'm a leadership development coach. I help library leaders confidently manage change and conflict. And I teach library leaders to use a coaching approach with their team as one strategy to help with that. That means developing the core coaching skills that are most relevant for managers while navigating the complexity of leading a team. So I offered a free webinar to promote my intensive group program, Lead with Curiosity, Coaching Skills for Library Leaders. Why library leaders? Because I was a librarian for 12 years before becoming a coach. So getting back to that question, when you do make a mistake as a coaching manager, what's the best way to go about setting things right with your employees? So, my first reaction to any vague hypothetical question like this is always, it depends. So, I wish I had had a chance to have more of a conversation with this person to ask for more details, because my next reaction is always to want to ask a whole lot of questions to explore the situation and then ask what comes to mind for you to set things right. Exploring the situation with a coach or a critical friend can lead to a deeper realization of what was actually going on, which can lead to a better resolution. Sometimes the mistake that you noticed is only one part of a much bigger issue. And if you only address that visible surface layer without getting into what's at the root of this, then similar mistakes are just going to keep coming up. So if you find yourself in a situation like this more often than you'd like, then I recommend reaching out to a coach to help you explore these deeper issues and then build a strategy to move forward in addressing these issues. In general, though, the simplest answer is to make a genuine apology, share what you see as the next steps, and ask what else would help to make things right. And then follow through with those next steps. That genuine apology part is crucial. The first step is to just simply give a clear, I'm sorry. Not, I regret, not, I feel bad, I'm sorry. And then say what it is that you're apologizing for. Be specific. And of course, that needs to be the thing that you said or did, not, I'm sorry that you feel that way. I'm sorry for saying or doing the thing that caused you to feel that way. And then show that you understand why it caused harm and take ownership without trying to explain yourself. And I know that's really hard. We want to make sure this other person knows that we did not intend to cause harm in any way. But you communicate that more effectively by keeping the focus on repairing the damage instead of trying to explain those good intentions. And then actually say how you're going to avoid repeating that mistake and or how you're going to repair the damage. By being willing to offer that genuine apology, not explaining what you intended, why you thought it would be a good idea or whatever, just a clear, simple apology. You model a learning culture in which it's okay to view mistakes as opportunities to learn and grow. Of course, you had good intentions and they didn't pan out, and now you are looking for a path forward that is going to actually be more in line with your intentions. Treating mistakes as lessons to learn from rather than as these like big horrible things to avoid at all costs is important in building the trust that you're going to need to effectively use a coaching approach as a leader. Coaching involves asking a lot of intentional questions designed to help someone work through to an answer that works for them. For that to be effective, they need to feel safe. They need to feel safe admitting when they don't know something. They need to feel safe admitting when they need some additional training in a particular area. They need to feel safe to admit to just struggling with a project that they feel like someone in their position should be capable of doing. That's asking for a lot of willingness to be vulnerable. It's not uncommon for employees to take a while to really open up, especially if they've had past experiences with supervisors who held any mistakes or shortcomings against them. When you model holding yourself to a perfect standard, then you unintentionally communicate that it's not safe to let anyone know when you fall short of perfection. When you model this mindset shift of viewing mistakes as lessons and staying focused on moving forward, you implicitly communicate that it's okay for them to admit to not being perfect as well. So by making mistakes, owning them, apologizing, and staying focused on moving forward, you're creating a safer space for your employees to admit to and find ways to address their mistakes and shortcomings, which supports building a coaching culture. Of course, I do need to add the caveat that this is not a free pass to just go around treating people any old way. The mistakes that I have in mind here are things like being a little too direct the first time you have to give negative feedback, not long-term patterns of behavior that create a hostile workplace. So one of my favorite parts of using a coaching approach is that by embracing your curiosity and asking questions to work through ideas with your team, you no longer have to be the one with all of the answers. So you reduce your risk of giving wrong answers or bad advice that you may wind up having to apologize for. Now, if we're talking about making mistakes in using a coaching approach, then that could be another matter. So some common mistakes for coaches are asking leading questions or jumping to giving advice too quickly. If you're being comfortable being open with your team about trying out a new leadership style, then it's pretty simple to stop yourself and either rephrase your question or actually ask a question and be transparent that you're still getting the hang of this. So here's what I would wait before I tell you what I would do. What ideas did you have? That's pretty simple. If you're not comfortable being that open and need to implement this approach more gradually and just kind of like leaning into curiosity, then these mistakes don't even need to be acknowledged. You can just make a mental note of how to do better next time, or pause and ask that question. Wait a minute, is this the right solution? Tell me more about the problem. So we work through these challenges and more in Lead with Curiosity, Coaching Skills for Library Leaders. We start with an intensive jumpstart week to build your coaching skills, and then meet twice a month for 3 months to talk through the challenges that come up as you start actually using this approach with your team. You can get all of the details and register at leadwithcuriosity.org. I do also offer individual coaching packages if what you actually need is someone to help you understand what went wrong and how to repair the damage. I'd love to talk with you more about your options.